which was a number of years ago. I was paddling in high water on the South Fork of the Clearwater, which is a beautiful run. It's Golden Canyon, and it's class 4+ and 5 run at kind of low to medium flows, and when it really gets up there, it's substantially harder. And if you include the initial cascades, which are called Coyote Falls, it's not a waterfall, it's just a massive cascade, very, very steep cascade with big truck-sized boulders everywhere. And so if you include that, it's definitely class 6. And if you add high water to that, you know, I'm not ever one to argue about ratings and stuff, but it's substantial. It's probably really not recommended. And but I was going over there a lot, and I was soloing a lot. And again, that's another thing I have to put a little proviso that I don't recommend soloing. Soloing is, it's not the next level of the sport. What it really is for me and for the other guys that I know have done it, it's an expression of how you want to be intimate with a particular run. It's what kind of relationship do you want with the river at that time. And it's a very powerful experience, and so it isn't something to you know, flop out there in public and say and brag about, because that's completely contrary to the intent. But I was over there, and I was alone, and I'd grown to really love that run. It's one of the hardest runs, most challenging runs in the general neighborhood around here, a couple hours away. So I paddled it, and had paddled it at very high flows, including Coyote Falls. So a number of the paradoxes that come up in running rivers kind of appear in this little incident. And I put on, I ran Coyote Falls, basically ran it perfectly. I was just completely in sync. And it's just this incredibly massive, powerful cascade. But when you're on, everything moves slowly. Even when you're going at this kaleidoscopic million-mile-an-hour Disneyland jet ride, and you know, as if you're on the backs of 1,000 raging bulls just charging down the riverbed. When you're on, though, everything's happening in slow motion, even if it's at breakneck speed. And I was on, and I paddled it well. I paddled it exactly the way I wanted to, no problems at all. And then went down and has a long class 5+ run out. And then I proceeded down the run, which is maybe 6-7 miles. And high water between 5,000 and 6,000 CFS, you know, class 6+, and it grades out a little bit, you know, into class 4 in places, and even, you know, class 3. And I'd basically done all the hard drops, and I was moving along really in flow, feeling nice. It was a beautiful evening. I remember the sunlight was coming in and reflecting off the big granite domes that are well above the river, and so there's this kind of beautiful, pervasive, golden light, just as the canyon's name suggests, you know, kind of glowing through, and I just had this really nice, intimate feeling with the place. And I eddied out and looked over my shoulder into this middling class 4 drop. There was nothing special about it. I glanced at it, saw my line, peeled out, and really the only reason I'd stopped was to kind of take a break, to just drink in the surroundings. So I came out, split a couple holes, came down, and there was this big wave, and then there were some offset holes below it. And particularly when you're soloing, I mean, I don't have any words going through my head. I'm just reacting to the environment. I've just woven myself into it. I'm really not even distinguishing myself from it. But I hit this wave, and with this really nice feeling of flow, and wham! I just got slammed. A very, very peculiar thing. And then I felt the boat ramp down, get pressed under, and then pushed up. So I was rooster tailing against something really hard, and it was a very peculiar feeling. You know, it was not like hitting a rock or anything. It was just the way the boat was moving, and you know, all of this was, I wasn't thinking about in words. It was just like, what the hell? And at that point, I fell over backwards and just disappeared underwater. And I had no idea at the time what was going on, but I got jammed underwater and down 5-6 feet under at least. and I was flapped upright between the bottom and what turned out to be a big log, completely invisible, dark log that was creating this wave, which was actually a big sieve, in effect. And so I was wedged underneath it. And, in a situation like that, people oftentimes ask paddlers, do you panic? And I never panic. I'm just sitting there going, what's going on? What do I do? How do I get out of this? And you just, and it's not even, those are not even verbal. You're just sitting there running through each thing that you can do. Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And, there's incredibly vivid imagery when I think back on it, because, all your senses are lit up and everything that you're doing is, in huge neon lights inside your brain. And I recognized I was caught and bad, and I could feel the boat flexing, and my knees were badly flexed. So you got to imagine I'm upside down, and fortunately I'm facing away from the current. And I'm upside down, and the current's going this way, and as I'm feathering the paddle and it's trying to rip out of my hand, I realize that I'm locked on against against a log. I can feel as the paddle chunks into the wood. I can feel it's wood, and had I been facing downstream, I don't think I could have gotten out. But I was basically facing upstream and upside down, and so I was able to wedge myself away and press and press and press. And I tried different angles, and I could feel, my eyelids just getting flapped open by the current, and my dry top just getting a fire hose of water into it, and my life jacket, almost being ripped off. And but it didn't panic. In all the incidences I've ever been in, I don't panic, so I can't. In my mind, it's just an issue that here's the problem. You got to try A, try B, try C, try D, try A again, try C again, and then you just go through everything you can think of, because you really don't have any other options. If you panic, you're dead. So you can't panic. In the end, what it did, and I'm not even sure that it was my efforts that freed me, but I was able to loosen up a little bit, and a big surge of water and the right pressure and the right point, I just got ripped right out of my boat.